everybody. Welcome to the very first YouTube video done by Rocket on the Rocket page. For those of you that are new, don't even know, you never even heard of this name before, this brand. ROK space IT, ruthless, own it, kindness, improve, transform. It is a clothing brand, a lifestyle, a message, a way to live, and all of the above. So basically, we are going to just talk about all sorts of different things in upcoming videos. I'm going to make videos, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long I go off of for, and we'll go from there. We'll see what happens and things like that. So with this being the first video I'm recording, there's going to be cuts, there's poor speech, things like that, and yeah, we're in it together. So this first video is going to be more based around how you get started, things like that. I had a friend reach out a week ago about how I started the brand, what the process looked like, what I did, Googling stuff, how I found my product, how I did all these different types of things. And, we had a conversation over the phone that lasted, 15, 10, 20 minutes, something like that. And I figured, that would be a great topic to just kind of be like the first video of all of it. That way, in case you're wondering how you want to start something like what I'm doing, or just start whatever you're starting from scratch, I can kind of give you what I did. I had this, I got the idea down on paper, right? I had it written down. I was like, cool. I know what it needs. How do I make it legit? How do I make this real? What do I do? Because it's not just something I want to do part-time. This is something I can make bigger if I want to. What's the next step? It's like I've never ran a business before. I'm an equipment operator. I fucking swing sledgehammers. I drive tractors, and I fucking pull trailers and drive semis. Like, what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck to do. Google became my best friend. First I was typing in, how do I start a brand? How do I start a clothing brand? How do I get an LLC? What's the difference between an LLC and a DBA? What is an EIN? What is all of this? Where do I get clothes? Where do I get designs? Who does this? Who does that? And all this other crazy shit, it's just like this giant rabbit hole of things. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much to do. But here we are, 3.5, almost, coming up on, no, we'll just 3 years down the road. Simple math, 3 years. And here we are. But Google is going to become your best friend when you want to start something new. Maybe even AI nowadays, because Google or ChatGPT 3 years ago, 4 years ago wasn't really much of a thing. It wasn't what it is today. So Google, ask your friends that have already done it, that have already started, because they're going to be able to, cut out the fluff, just tell you, go there, go to this website, call this person, do that, and things like that. So creating your LLC, you go to your government website, you type it in Google, how do I get an LLC? And normally it's going to, in the top 3, top 5 results, it's going to say, here's your state website, this is what you do. And depending on where you live, I think it costs $25, $50. That's how much it costs to start a fucking LLC. Really, $25, $50. That's all it was. That just basically, it's your, oh God, limited liability corp. I don't remember. So whoever remembers what LLC stands for, just fucking put it in the comments, because I don't remember off the top of my head. And then you have your DBA, do business as. You don't have to do that. You can if you want to. It's basically saying, like, my LLC is McCarthy Blue Sox, but yet I'm presenting a front called Rocket type thing, that way if you want your LLC, whatever. I don't know that crazy stuff, but that's kind of like this broken down version. I can be known as, behind the scenes, McCarthy Blue Sox, but yet in the public eye, it's Rocket. So that's how, that's the paperwork trail that you get started. You just fill out the paperwork, it's who is a beneficiary, sole proprietor, and all things like questions like that. Again, Google, just open up another tab. What is sole proprietor, and things like that. Take your time, because if you're serious about this, you want to know what you're doing. And these are just baby steps to get you started type thing. And then, so now you're legit, right? You got that going. Then you need to get your EIN, which is, I forgot. I forgot what that is. See, I'm not prepared. And then you get your EIN, and then sales tax. Depending on what your business is, you're probably going to need a sales tax license or your tax, whatever it is. That is very easy. To get all of these licenses, these paperworks, and things like that, it costs me under $100. And then boom, you're in business. You have a legitimate business that is now going to be taxed by the fucking government. Hooray. I love the government. I'm joking. But yeah, under $100 and you're in business. You now own a business. So that's how you get started for a clothing brand, because that is my experience. That is what I'm going to call my current expertise, because I've been doing it for 3 years. Again, I am very mediocre at this. I don't know a lot. I just know what I have been doing and what has led me up to today. So, clothing brand, you need a logo, clearly. You just can't put something on, I mean, you can put ROKIT on a t-shirt, but what does it look like? How does it represent the brand? What does it look like to you? What is it when people look at it? What does it say? And how does it catch the attention? How does it catch your eye? And then, that just kind of a snowball effect. Putting it on clothing. Next thing. What clothing do you want to put it on? I did not realize all of the different types of materials, types of t-shirts, types of everything that comes into this fucking thing called a clothing brand. Obviously, you have, in the blue collar world, you have your 100% cotton, because if you're on an FR site, 100% cotton shit, so that way it just whoop, up in flames. There's no polyester, it's not going to melt to your skin, things like that. But then you have cotton polyester, you have cotton polyester, oh crap, rayon, spandex, all these other types of blends and materials that can be incorporated together. And then types of shirts. So you have your crew neck, your V-neck, your 3/4 sleeve, your tank top, your women's racer back razor tops. Like I said, it's going to be an overwhelming experience from the moment you decide just to go down this rabbit hole. But it's fun. It's worth it, because, again, you're doing this because you don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again. You want better. What I did is I found Printify, Printful, these drop shipping places. I wasn't going to do drop shipping for the brand because I wanted to make sure I had full control. But I needed to have this place send me shirts with my design on it so I could figure out what shirts I wanted. That way, what a shirt feels like when you're wearing it. You know what it looks like after you wash it. You know how much it shrinks after you wash it, and all those types of things. It's a process. It's fun because you get to go through all of these different processes, these learning experiences, and now you have this drawer and closet full of 50 t-shirts that you're like, I'm looking for one. I'm looking for one that fits what I want. So depending on what your brand is, whether you want to do what I do and boost the confidence, help someone feel better, when you put on a shirt, you're like, God damn it, I look good in the mirror. Or you want something that, helps hide the body a little bit. You want something that is for weightlifting. So you want something that's like a baggier shirt because pump covers are a thing now, or whatever it is. You need what does your brand identify with? You need to envision you and your brand. What does the everyday person look like wearing your brand? That is what it really comes down to. When you can figure out what your brand identifies as with those types of things, that is how it goes. And then you have your graphics. There are so many options. There's heat transfer vinyl, which is basically like a Cricut. I don't know how you pronounce the fucking thing. The one you can do with your fucking hot iron. There's DTG, direct to garment, which is like it prints it into the actual garment itself. Then you have DTF. Hold on, you fucking sickos. Direct to film, not the other one. Okay? And then you have another one. I can't remember. Embroidery, that's one. And then I think there's one more. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember off the top of my head. I do the direct to film, the DTF. It's cheaper. compared to the other options, and it holds up better out of what I've done. I've done that style for over a year, and I like the way it holds up. Plus, you can incorporate more colors, you can have bigger designs as long as your press can handle it. So I recommend a direct to film DTF transfer. That is my personal recommendation. That is what I like and I recommend. Then you need a heat press, which is what you might be able to see right here. All you need to do is get it to the appropriate temperature, apply pressure, and boom. They have hundreds of different types of presses that you can get, whether you want something that can do hats and mugs or just shirts or whatever it is, get whatever suits you. You don't need to go spend $700. I promise you, you do not need to spend $500, $700 on a press. This press right here cost me $200-$300. It's heavy, but that's all I spent. Okay. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. And it's the same one since I started. Now let's transfer over to what my friend called about and asked about. What his idea was. He knows what he wants. He has the name, but he's like, what do I do if there's somebody else? Which is a very valid question, because I found out there is another rocket, but they are, I believe, European. So we're safe. They're on the other side of the pond. They fucking eat beans and toast. I have nothing to worry about. I threw their tea in the harbor, or at least my ancestors did. Maybe. I don't know. And then there is another rocket that was in the West Coast, but their social media, you start diving down and checking out all these other people because you want to make sure that there's not going to be any issues down the line saying, hey man, you're using my name, you can't be doing that, blah, 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 blah. And then I noticed their social media has been inactive for a very long time. I couldn't find their website. I couldn't do anything like that. So, to me, it's like, cool. They kind of fell off. They're not around anymore. That gives me more leeway because I am very active on social media, in the online presence type thing. So that was kind of like, almost like a common law marriage. My girl and I, we've been together for 4 years, but I haven't put a ring on her finger, but we share bills, type thing. I've been around longer than the people on the West Coast, and I can prove it. And then there's also a trademark. Obviously that's big. If you want to go big, like you are locked in, you're not giving up type thing, file a trademark. That's your trump card, right? Someone can come up and be like, I do Rocket. My name's Rocket. But, when you pull up this nice little piece of paper that says trademark, bitches, you kind of win. That's, then it turns into a bigger legal battle. Is that person really going to try and fight you? And that was kind of what I told him. I was like, just start Googling. Google your name that you want. What shows up? Because if it's not in your state's database, you're more than likely safe, because that's like, there could be another rocket 2 states away. But as long as we're not impeding territories and I'm trying to sell in his, they're sort of selling mine, there's not going to be much of an issue. But if you start going nationwide, that's when there can be issues. So if there is another, John McCarthy Blue Sox or another rocket 4 states away, that's when you might start having tricky battles. So that's when you need to start looking into the bigger picture type thing. But if you're going to be local, statewide, no issue, right? And again, I'm going to stop and pause right there. If I am wrong, please let me know. I have not been told I am wrong, but that does not mean I'm wrong or I'm not wrong. No one has told me, because, like I said, I've been doing it for 3 years, not 20. I'm not an expert. So that's kind of like, the breakdown. And I just want you to know that it's okay to start something new. It's okay to get outside of the box of the everyday bullshit. Again, I'm still, to this day, running equipment, swinging sledgehammers, doing paperwork for a blue collar job, wearing steel toe boots 5 days of the week, 50, 60, 70 hours a day, up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym before I go to work. And then I do all of this after working on the weekends. You can still do all of it. It is very possible. It is 100% possible. There's been hundreds of people, thousands of people that have done it across this world. So there's no reason why you cannot. And that is, that's the biggest message that I want to get out there, is don't fucking be the one to hold yourself back, because you never know what you're going to be possible, what's going to be capable, what you're going to be capable of until you fucking do it. You can sit here on the couch would be like, yeah, I can do 10 sit-ups. But guess what? What happens in a month if you can do fucking 30 of them? Like, you just upped your percentage drastically. So what happens when you start something new today that can drastically alter your future forever? Right? That's what they call the American dream, is it not? You want to not work for the man. You don't want somebody to tell you when you can and for how long you can have lunch for. So with everything that we've talked about your LLC, your DBA, how you get all that stuff. It costs less than $100 to be a business owner. Really? That's all it takes. And I'm going to say something stupid that's going to piss a lot of people off. If you stop buying so much coffee, in a month, you'll have $100 to start to be a business owner. And now, boom, mic drop. Now, if you do that for 15 years, you might be able to have a down payment on a house. But DBA, LLC, EIN, sales tax, where to get your shirts, what kind of shirts do you want? What does your graphics look like? What are the values of your brand? What are the values of your business? What are your values? Do your values even align with the brand that you want to start? Because that's going to be a big conflict down the road. Yeah, my brand might promote fucking self-improvement, but I might be the person in the back getting drunk every other weekend. They don't align. It's not going to work. Trust the process. Enjoy the process. It's going to be fun. I promise you. It's going to suck and it's going to have a headache. There's nothing fun. There's nothing pretty about it. But you're playing the long game. You're not here to just have instant success. That is what everybody wants on the internet. It's not going to happen to everyone. It might happen to you, but don't expect it. Work for it, but don't expect it. Because there's a lot that you need to learn before that happens. Trust me, there's a lot I still need to learn before something like that happens. There is no excuse. The only excuse is the one that you're convincing yourself because you think that you're not worth it or you don't have time or whatever. But you know what? You're watching this video and then you're probably going to go watch another one. So that's your time that you are wasting and not setting yourself up for a better future. So we'll be back with more videos. We'll have plenty of more going on. I'm going to go deeper into designing, my thought process, what inspires me, more about the brand, whatever it is. If you want to know something, just put it in the comments, people. It's easy. People want to talk shit online all day long, but you are scared to ask a question. Okay? So I'm just going to throw that out there. Ask the question. If I know, I'll answer it. Pretty easy. So, again, follow, like, comment, all the fun, jazzy shit, but I will be back for another video.